As you probably know, Nintendo's 2017 was more glorious than my grandma's yummy junk. But in this supple young man's honest opinion, 2018 is gonna be just as wonderful, if not an ass hair better. My name's Cameron, and I'll tell you sexy jabronis why. The two biggest reasons why Nintendo's 2018 will be greater than or equal to its 2017 are that it pretty much has to be, and there's no reason why it can't be. Back in January, nobody had any idea as to what 2018 had in store for the Switch, and because of this, expectations for this year's first Nintendo Direct were unreasonably high. So in an attempt to calm the hype down, Nintendo released a mini Direct where all we really learned about were a few new ports. Then shortly after that, there was the announcement of Nintendo Labo that raised the above-average sized end stock prices by $1 billion overnight, only for the initial hype to immediately disappear. And while it did end up being a success that a lot of people love, it didn't exactly justify the $1 billion stock increase, proving that shareholders might have gotten a little too excited for it and that it's not going to be the next big thing for the Switch. After the Labo's announcement, though, was a proper Nintendo Direct that surfaced in March that gave fans just enough to hold them over with the announcement of a new Smash Bros. Game. Other than that, though, we really don't know a whole lot about what the N-Boys have in store for the second half of 2018. But even though the perceptions that this year's been a tad underwhelming for the Switch thus far, at least compared to the PS4, there's no way in hell the second half of the year won't blow our asses away, and I honestly think there's a pretty good chance that there's gonna be better games on the Switch this year than the last when it's all said and done. In fact, the Switch is doing better now than it was at this time last year as far as game quality and quantity is concerned. Yeah, most of the notable Switch games have been ports so far, but they're still really good games. And even on the off chance that you were one of the two people who owned a Wii U, you probably missed a few games on that console. So for most people, now's as good a time as any to pick up the Switch versions of games you might have missed that in most cases are a poop hair better on the hybrid console. There was a concern last year that the Switch wasn't gonna have anything for the end of the year besides Mario Odyssey. Then over the summer, we got a bunch of game announcements dumped all over our faces. And I don't want to get my hopes up too high, but it wouldn't surprise me at all to find out about another assload of games in June that are coming out this year that we didn't even know were in the works. The N-Boys already said that this E3 Direct would only focus on games coming out in 2018, and that could only mean that they feel pretty confident that revealing any more would be overdoing it. I mean, if it's not possible for people to get more excited with whatever they announce in June, then it makes sense not to waste any time talking about 2019. It only raised expectations unreasonably high for when Nintendo's ready to talk about next year. But since we've already waited so long to find out about what big games are next on the little hybrid that could, Nintendo has to know that they need to hit it out of the park. After all, they gave up on the Wii U for pretty much the last year of that console's life. And while Mario Odyssey was amazing, I find it hard to believe that the rest of the Switch's first and second party games that we got are really all Nintendo's had up their sleeves ever since the Wii U's demise. Don't get me wrong, Breath of the Wild ripped ass all over the place, but it really was just a port of the game that was finished a year before it came out. And it's not a good reason to explain why there haven't been as many non-ports as people would expect. Then there's the other Wii U ports like Mario Kart 8 and Weekend at Bernie's, and Splatoon 2 is technically a sequel instead of a port, but it couldn't have taken as much time to make as a new game from scratch. Then there's Nintendo Labo, which was, well... So really, the only first and second party games made from scratch for the Switch besides Mario Odyssey were 1-2-Switch, Kirby Star Allies, and ARMS. But due to the fact that Nintendo gave up on the Wii U a year before it was done, and that they're no longer splitting game development between a home console and a handheld, we really should have a lot more games by now. And I really do believe that all the Wii U re-releases are just meant to keep the Switch's momentum going while Nintendo stockpiles on new games for when they run out of things to port. And like I say all the time, nobody played these games on the Wii U, which explains the high sales for them on the Switch and why I really don't blame Nintendo for all the ports. And if new games are released alongside the old ones, they'd really just hurt each other. So Nintendo might as well take some extra time on the original games while ports are keeping the Switch's fire burning during the months that are generally not very good for video game sales. That way they could have some really good new games for the peak months later on. And I really hope that's the case, because I'll be shocked if Nintendo doesn't drop their world-famous N-bombs at E3 now that they've stalled long enough with all these Wii U ports all year. I mean, I'm not gonna be surprised if they announce a few more ports. I just think it'd be lazy if any months after July are built around them. Because there has to be some big new Switch games revealed in June that'll seduce everybody. Smash Bros is already enough to make the second half of 2018 important, and I'm sure they're gonna show all kinds of cool stuff about that game that'll melt the internet. But if that really is 2018's only big Switch game, then why waste the reveal in March and leave no surprises for E3? So what surprises could be in store? Well, besides maybe a few 3DS games that are hopefully just ports, localizations, and not anything made from the ground up, I really have no idea, to be honest. But since we're on the internet, I can certainly make a combination of deductions and wild speculation. First off, I don't see Metroid Prime 4 being ready in 2018, and I really hope that it's not unless it's secretly been in development for a lot longer than we've known. alone. But if all we had was a logo last June, then I doubt a new development team could whip up a worthy 3D Metroid game in a year. And while I have no doubt that a new Pokemon game could be ready this year for the Switch, I hope it's not rushed just for the sake of making money. The home console Pokemon debut needs to be special, not just the 3DS game with HD graphics. So I personally hope this game doesn't come out any earlier than March 2019. Hopefully we at least get some more details though. A new Mario Kart game would be highly unlikely and kinda stupid now since everybody's still playing 8.
I have a
Mario Kart,
alright? It works just fine.
the only other big Nintendo game I could think of that'd make a huge impact and could be ready by the end of the year would be a sequel to Super Mario Maker.
Oh yeah.
It'd probably just be a port with enough added features to call it a sequel like Splatoon 2 was, and like what Smash Bros is gonna be. But that's all games like these really need to be. But even if they announce Mario Maker 2 to come out this year along with Smash Bros, I won't be able to help but feel a little disappointed. It'd be a great lineup, but not enough to compare to 2017 unless both games are vastly superior to their previous entries, which I really don't expect. We know they've been working on a new Fire Emblem game, and with that series being more popular now than ever before, I think it'd be a pretty big deal to see that come out this year. And while the gameplay is very in-depth, it's still relatively simplistic. So based on how long it's been since the last release, I'd bet like $4 that we're likely to see a new game ready this year. And seeing as how we're getting a Luigi's Mansion remake on the 3DS, but not the Switch for some reason, then maybe, just maybe, they're working on a new game for Nintendo's hybrid. But that's really just my speculation based off nothing at all, other than the fact that the game's in demand and it's been a long time since the last game in the series. I don't think a new Luigi's Mansion for the Switch is too big of a stretch though. But one big Switch game that I think's highly likely for a 2018 release though is a new Animal Crossing. Like most of the games I just talked about, it's been a long time since the last proper release in the series, and the improper games that I'm not counting have been pissing fans off to the high heavens. So a new core game on the Switch would calm everyone's asses down, and I'm sure it could probably be ready by now. There's some other games we haven't seen in a while that might be possible, like Wario, Pikmin, and F-Zero, but I think those are less likely for 2018. I mean, I guess a new WarioWare game could happen, but would anybody really care about that? Those games are fun, but I'm just saying it wouldn't be groundbreaking. And the Switch really needs something comparable to Smash since last year had Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey. Bayonetta 3 was somewhat recently announced, and that game could have been in the works for a while, so it is possible for 2018, but I don't expect it to be finished that soon. I would be excited at the possibility of a new IP, but after Nintendo Labo, I think I'm all set on that for a little while. And I have no idea how far along Shin Megami Tensei 5 is, but if that comes out this year, then I'm gonna calmly go outside and pee in my own mouth. Because I'd be so excited, of course. Although as much as I would like that, I doubt it'll be ready that soon, and I don't think most people would care about it enough to call it a big game. At least outside of Japan. But while we're on the topic of third parties, if you're a video game developer, you'd be insane not to want your games on the Switch. Even though the remake to Final Fantasy VII was delayed, I'd be flabbergasted to see it not come to the Switch, with Cloud being in the last Smash game and possibly the new one too. But again, this Direct's only gonna focus on 2018, and who knows when that game's gonna come out. And with Capcom recently hinting that the Resident Evil 2 remake release date will be revealed at E3, I hope it makes an appearance on the Switch so I can shoot zombies in the asshole on the go. And something like Grand Theft Auto 5 would sell Switches out the ass. I know the PS4 and Xbox One versions of the game are around 50 gigabytes and that Switch game cards only hold about 32, but even with an obnoxious download and the entire game not being able to fit on the cart, this game would still sell even with watered down graphics based on portability alone. And I'm sure we're gonna see other multiplats and ports from third parties now that the Switch has proven to be able to sell non-Nintendo games. But in addition to Shin Megami Tensei 5, I'm really hoping to see more third-party exclusives. To any developers that may be watching, I'm down for some on-rail shooters. So if you give me that, I'll give you a gummer behind my dad's tool shed. JSN bros. JSN. Regardless of what we'll specifically see at E3 though, I just know in my ass that there has to be at least 3 noteworthy games for the second half of the year besides Smash Bros and more ports. So far this year, Nintendo's been trying to keep the Switch's record-breaking momentum going with at least one notable release every month, which is exactly what they need to do and what I fully expect. January was a month to give everyone time to play all their holiday games from the previous year, but then February had the Bayonetta bundle and March had Kirby, while April had the, May got Donkey Kong and Hyrule Warriors, June gets Mario Tennis, and July's got Treasure Tracker, plus hopefully something else, with a respectable amount of third-party games peppered in here and there as well. So including Smash Bros, that leaves room for at least 3 more notable releases for the key months of 2018. And if any of those months are built around another port or the NES games that are on the way, then that'll be a shot in the dick. And I'll personally fly to Nintendo HQ and ask them what the hell they've been doing the past few years. But I doubt that'll happen, and even though Nintendo's done some stupid stuff in the past, I don't think they'd do anything that outrageous. I mean, yeah, we've mostly only gotten ports so far this year, but those games all deserve to be ported over, and I think the first half of the year is the best time to do so. And with all this time that's gone by without any major releases and no 3DS to support with original content, plus a Smash Bros reveal being wasted randomly in March, I don't see any reason why Nintendo's E3 in 2018 won't be absolutely wonderful. I gave my personal guesses, and I'm not exactly sure what's going to be revealed, but I'm telling you, it's going to be comparable to 2017, if not even better. Mark my ass.
Move it! Go! You got it!
What do you you think, though? Will Nintendo's E3 Direct be wonderful, or do you think it's really going to be all about smashing some more ports? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and as always, I'll pin whatever I find most entertaining. Don't forget to like and share this video to help this channel as well as my tiny peepee grow. And if you're a Grammy Award-winning musical artist, then go ahead and press that subscribe button. And if not, then fucking press it anyway, I don't care. My name's Cameron, and I'll see you next time.
So I want to say thank you to your loyalty, thank you for your support.